All right, let's do the roll call.
Para.
Here.
Manning. Cosgrove.
Here.
Severson. Williamson.
Here.
Bowie.
Here.
McGuire. We have 4 for a quorum, sir.
Awesome. Verification open meeting law
Yes, sir.
and approval of the agenda.
15, so moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Chad with the motion, Steve with the second, Steve Williams. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, approval of the minutes from February 6th. Is there any changes that need to be made that you guys see? If not, I'm going to approve them as published. All right, next, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Sound like it? Reports. Property management report.
All right, I got a few items here. I think I brought it up at the last one that we had a leak at the Copper Top Theater above the music room. We thought it was a roof and it ended up being pumps and a drain up in the boiler room. So, I talked to Derek and Derek said that it's gotta be fixed. I mean, we gotta do something with it. It's the heat for the whole building, so. Got a hold of Precision, Ash Creek, whatever you wanna call them now. The valve ended up being $700. They just put it in today. So the leak is now stopped, but the pump is shot. So they put the pump or the valve in today. The drain is all rusted out. It's cast iron. It's all rusted out. So that's got to be replaced because that's what's in the ceiling above the music room. So anything that leaks up there, it's going to go right in the music room if we have a issue up there. So we're guessing $3,000, up to $3,000 for the pump plus installation. And then, so we've already got 700 plus 6 hours of repairs today. So you're probably looking at close to $5,000 by the time we're done with all this. And that's not including the drain. That's just the pump system and the valve.
So they'll change that to PVC, I would assume. when they
Well,
fix
I
it.
think they'll switch over to PVC on that trap
Yeah.
from that cast. But getting it all out, cut out, and then fit into the existing cast that's already there. So anyway, we got more costs coming up there from that. I told him not to purchase anything until we got the cost first. And then we can bring that back here. So,
Go ahead, Steve. Carol.
Did they say what kind of delivery
on the,
pump and the whatever else?
they're waiting to get the cost right now and how long it's gonna take. So until we get that back, until I get all that information. He just made the phone call today on the pump, because he had to get all kinds of numbers and, for a previous one that they had purchased for the other boiler room, so.
But I'm just saying, it's not just price, it's delivery. I don't know how, if they're in stock or.
Yeah, and we don't know. It could be 2 weeks, could be a month. We don't know.
Does this boiler system have a chemical treatment system?
No. Nothing out there. So
So the pump runs,
they run 24/7 because it's, well, because of the boilers, the pumps, they run to all the air handling systems.
yeah, but my point is, it's running now. Or is it
Not the
shut
one
off?
that's there, because the seal's gone out of it. It was leaking.
So it was leaking, it just blew it out the back or whatever.
Yep, it was blowing out through the seal. And that's how we found the drain was leaking, because we thought it was the roof leaking,
Yeah.
and when we did that walkthrough. So,
So the
That's how we
pump's
found
up in the ceiling?
huh?
The pump's in the ceiling?
No, the drain is in the ceiling of the music room, but the boiler room is right above it.
Okay.
That's where the drain's at.
Okay.
So, that's how we found it.
Up in that one catwalk.
I haven't wanted
Yeah.
any of that, so.
Do we want to set a dollar amount? Because if we gotta wait another month to go through here, maybe not with, you've got some in your budget that we can.
This is campus money, so I don't know what they got set
Well,
aside.
it'll go under maintenance and then we'll just have to switch money, but, I mean, if we wait 2 more months, we shouldn't have to worry about heat soon.
say nobody's using it.
Right?
We got $2 million.
Yeah.
No,
That's
294 point.
So.
You want me to get the prices and?
I would get everything so that, as if we're gonna fix it. And then we'll see where, I mean.
Yeah.
If my opinion is if we need to have another meeting
Yeah.
to say, let's go.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Let's just have another meeting.
Okay,
You know, if it's less than $10,000, I don't see a reason why we would tie your hands to it and just say, okay, let's get this stuff ordered, especially if it's a 6-8 week lead time. I mean, a pump like that, you're not gonna have the pump that was originally put in there, right? Or even one that was put in there 10 years, it's probably updated to,
yeah, they're all
Hopefully
new,
something-
they're all new one-piece units with
Yeah.
the motor and all,
yeah.
where the system now, the motor is separate from the pump system and.
I mean, there isn't any opportunity to put new seal in it, is there?
No, because it's so outdated, they can't get, it's an old Alice Chalmers, they can't get parts for it anymore.
That's what I think.
It's a 1967 model, so
That's kind of.
they said they can't even get parts for it.
Probably some in that shed out there.
Yeah, if you look real hard, you try to find box and parts and probably
We've
boxes.
been scavenging that building trying to find everything, and we can't find any of that.
The one label C.
So I guess, guys, I don't know where you're at, but I mean, if it's $10,000 or less, I don't see why we wouldn't just. I
Well,
trust,
to the point, CRC, I'm thinking that I'd like to go out there and see how cold it is in there come Sunday morning, if it's 24 outside, if it's still hanging at 50 and 60 degrees in there, at probably the coldest weather we're gonna have from now till summer, unless there's any other reason we have to have, that's the only air handling.
Well, so that pump feeds one air handler 11, but there's 2 other pumps right beside it, they feed 10 and 9. They told me today that if worse comes to worse, we can open up the door on air handler 11 and then draw the heat out of the upstairs to try to pull some of that heat to that section of the building. That's gonna be colder.
I mean, I just hate to put 10 grand in a building that we might be tearing down.
agree with that, and I agree with all that. I mean, if there's an opportunity to do something like that, we're at the end of the cold weather. I mean,
Mhm.
cold weather's a day now, or it's not a month, you know?
Well, that could, yeah, if you could do that before you're done this weekend, if they think it's okay, I'd do
Well,
that.
that was his recommendation. He says it's gonna be a while, you know, by the time he gets the numbers back for the pump and all that stuff. He said, but if it does look like it's gonna get colder, open that door and draw that through the air handler from the heat upstairs.
That's why we brought it here. We didn't see any reason to go rushing into this, coming out of winter, into the warm weather and
Yeah.
investing money into.
Well,
a
it depends
building.
what we're gonna do.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't go ahead with it, I'd just.
We had-
I'd have them quote it.
Yeah.
By the time the parts get here, it's probably gonna be in the 70s.
Hopefully.
All I would recommend is quote it and get the availability so we know how fast we need to act on something, given the opportunity.
We just didn't have any choice with the valve because that seal was gonna leak and that valve was already leaking and it was broke, so.
Well, it's already, wasn't that floor damaged already?
Huh?
Where we found the water dripping on that tile floor?
That ceiling was already, yeah.
The ceiling, but what about that tile floor?
Well, yeah.
It's the same as all the other times.
When we walked in here, somebody found it, they put a bucket under it.
A pail.
So
or a-
it's been there a while.
Garbage can.
So it's been there a while.
Yes.
All right, so I guess, Randy, get your prices and then we'll. see
We'll
where
discuss
we're
it
at.
in CRC.
In worst cases, go up there and open the handler and.
Do it from that way for now.
We don't know.
Okay. All right, next item,
We don't need.
been working on locks and placed 2 locks at the gymnasium. We found, can't think of it.
Tumblers.
Tumblers, yeah, in a drawer. So we were able to take some of the keys. We swapped out 2 the side doors, the one facing Melville and the handicap one facing the Simon's parking lot. I swapped those out today, so we didn't have to hire a locksmith. We switched them over so that we're trying to make it so that that master key is not available to people, so they can get in every building. So we're switching over to other tumblers to minimize down to another key that is not.
Minimize the number of people that have entry.
Right,
Yeah, but that
So-
master key wouldn't matter, right? If you got a master key.
but the master key will not work on this one because we've already tried ours. So that's why we changed the tumblers out today, but we've got one more door to do. And then we're gonna do the inside. We're gonna check to see which ones work with that key on the inside. Because I know with that school MOU and stuff that
We
there's gonna
deemed,
be separate keys.
we deemed it necessary for safety risk, especially because there's closets full of chemicals and then the generator room plus the maintenance area with the potential for outsiders to come and use that gymnasium space. We did not want to have access into those for safety reasons. So we felt it necessary to change out the necessary locks to keep those as secure as possible.
What about that door, Randy, north door?
That's the next one we're gonna
Okay.
do. So it'd just be the three or outer doors.
Well, but the other piece of this is talking to Simons. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, okay, we've got security now, but do they understand, do we need to talk about the relationship and why they were going in there?
Well, that would be a question for the CRC committee to develop that relationship between Simons and the use of the gymnasium along with the school district, because that's still all
Up in the air.
up in the air currently.
Yeah, so we're just maintaining the building, so we got it under control, and I agree. With it being a dual purpose building, the gymnasium is, and the bathrooms is as far as they should go.
Should be. yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where we have to leave. Now, mind you, when something goes wrong and someone needs to get in the mechanical room, I mean, it's gonna be one of them, this group here, right? Is gonna have to go in there and address,
But that's another
Whatever.
separate entrance too,
but,
so.
you know what I mean? So,
Well, and currently, how much is Brian out there? I mean, he checks the building.
He's
Brian's
every
out
day.
there every day.
And he checks all the buildings.
He lives right here in town, plus I live 10, 15 minutes away and right.
understood, but if you're gonna use that, and I'm just saying, okay, so now that's used on Saturday, or now that's used on Sunday for a basketball tournament, or whatever the case may be, it's gonna be different, right? Somebody's not here every day, where we may have to, that'll be a different thing that has to be addressed, but, yeah, I agree 100% with, you need to get that isolated, so one key only goes to where we want people to go.
Right.
Right, and not go where all over hell.
And that's what we're doing now. We're trying to get that figured out to where those people can be and where they shouldn't be.
Okay.
So, working on that. We had a fire alarm pulled here yesterday. We just had a whole new panel and strobes and everything put in the building. We had a fire alarm pulled yesterday by a kid. No audio, didn't go off. So MIS contacted Johnson Controls. They're gonna be coming here hopefully in the next few days to figure out why it didn't go off. Wouldn't have been good if we had a real fire, so
Good test run then.
it was a good test, yeah. So,
So what's the frequency on checking that system?
Generally, the fire control systems are tested once a year.
once a year.
So how many drills a year do we do in this building?
We haven't done any because
There
our
has been
system was
0
down.
drills.
We did one not last year, but the year before, but this year, or this past year, we did absolutely none because the system was down. The audio was not working on the previous one.
So how long has the new one been in and we haven't tried?
A month, not even a month.
Not even a month.
Not
I
even
think
a month.
actually about 2.5 weeks is what it's actually been in place.
So did it work when they left?
It
Well,
was not properly tested apparently.
Yeah.
See where I'm going with
You
it.
better-
yep. So,
And saying there better not be a charge.
well, MIS said that he thinks it's still under warranty. They said that it'll still be under warranty. So, anyway, so they've been contacted. Hopefully they'll be here in the next week, I would hope. So that's getting taken care of. Yesterday there was an incident out, I know the fairgrounds isn't mine, but I'm gonna bring it up, but yesterday there was an incident at the fairgrounds. Somebody was out tearing up the lawn out there. My feeling is that, of course, the sheriff's department was called, people were arrested, blah, blah, blah. But my feeling is that there should be cameras on those grounds to find out who's coming and going out of those gates. Either that or they should be locked.
We have brought this up many times in the past of wanting to update the security or countywide, basically. I'm running into the same problems at Highway Department. I've had 3 cameras installed. One doesn't really work at all, and the other ones are kind of hit and miss with what they actually catch. We have been requesting to look into an actual security system that could maybe work at the fairgrounds as well as the Highway Department, start covering these facilities. As far as I know, it's still in progress.
Request to who?
MIS.
So my question with the fairgrounds is, so all the time when I was growing up, that fairgrounds, you couldn't get into it. very easily, not with a vehicle anyway. I mean, you can walk in there, but that would be the extent of it.
Mhm.
So what are we doing now? Are any of them gates got any type of closure on them?
Just, you got the gates of the track that are closed and locked, and then, but other than that, there is no gates in place.
The next question with that is how much activity is there on a regular basis? You know what I mean?
There's
So,
an extreme amount of activity on a regular basis. People use it for, teaching their kids how to drive. People are in there all throughout the day and into the night walking their dogs or just driving around in there.
so walking is much different for the most part than vehicles going in there and doing whatever.
Mhm.
I mean, is it as simple as putting cables on the entrances and making it more difficult? And it still doesn't stop a person from walking in there, but it would stop from vehicles going in there? I mean, is it that simple?
Well, the fencing and everything needs to be addressed at the fairgrounds in general, and I would recommend at the time that we have enough funds to replace the fencing through there, that's when we incorporate actually closable gates, but from my understanding, it used to be locked and secured, but then the general public, something happened where they deemed it necessary to allow access in there for anything as public property. So we might have to cross that bridge in a little.
There would be one issue because of the canoe landing.
Agreed,
what?
that's why I'm asking these questions, because, okay, so should it be open? Probably, right? Because it's county property. But on the same token, if they're going in there and tearing it up, you're gonna catch most of them.
Where were they at? On the track?
No, they were on the
Across
parking
road?
area, the fields.
But somebody also used the track as well. You can see the wheel ruts going.
Yeah, somebody else made some trips around the track too.
Quite easy.
So we shut the gates to the track.
Yeah,
We locked them up.
kinda hard to secure that one.
And then also with that,
Shit.
2 well houses, locks were cut off the doors for the 2 well houses.
So if you were gonna put cameras out there, I mean, how do you? You gotta try to get, without putting 50 cameras out there.
My recommendation is light pole cameras, the ones that mount up high on the light, because they cover such a vast array of ground. That's what, the same thing I would like to do.
Well, and you gotta be able to see where the problem is, right? So it's gotta be good enough to pick a license plate or something along that line too.
Right.
But I would say for sure, we need to get a quote from MIS or whoever to the main build, the main things you wanna look at for sure. The office has got, should be something around that. If there's well houses or whatever, there should be something around that.
Yeah, we went to both well houses to check them and both locks were cut off. They were both gone, disappeared. So
I would,
we don't know
No other
who's.
buildings had their locks cut, the well houses were the only ones targeted.
So when we get our procurement policy done,
Policy's done.
I spend all day getting quotes, so I wanna see another quote. And then we might as well get a quote on chain link fence. That wood fence, years ago, I told Cedar to either paint it or tear it down, because it looks bad.
You're getting quote?
No,
I will
yeah,
take care of getting quotes, because that falls underneath
Yep.
what I'm responsible for right now, and I do have a list of fencing companies beside my computer desk to start calling and getting prices on.
I'm at security also.
That has to run.
well, I wanna see what you guys think, because right now, when Josh put the original cameras out there, he had to go through MIS.
Why?
It's the county way.
Huh?
That's why I want the policy.
Seriously, I don't understand why it has to go through MIS.
Anything technical in the county is believed that should operate directly through MIS for uniformity across the board.
well, and that's the point, is to try to make sure that they can, you gotta remember, MIS has gotta manage it, right? No matter where we get it from, they gotta be able to give them the server or whatever it takes. So I'm not against, I don't disagree with that. But we need to get them involved and say, okay, we need to do something here and see what we can get done, so.
They're already involved. I put a help desk ticket in about a year ago.
I guess I don't understand how the camera feed is monitored.
It is fed back to a computer program that is installed on the computer, so everything is digitally transferred to the computer software and recorded.
And that's where it becomes the MIS's deal.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get some quotes and start the process again, and maybe we can, now mind you, we know that we got them doing everything under the sun too. It may be something where they're okay with having Total Tech or someone come in, you know, them are the people I know, I don't know who else, but they're local. And you may be able to get something quicker through them, and then they can work it out the, okay, what do I need here?
We do our own at work. I think I've got 8 cameras on our facility. But not like mine at home, it's just a blink, but somebody pulls in my driveway, even when I zoom in, you cannot get that driver's or license plate.
Ready.
All right,
Okay, two other things. We just did a furniture move in for register of deeds. They are completely done now. So that's the last furniture move until we got one more across the street with MIS, and then I think we'll be done with all of our furniture moves from the campus. So that'll be taken care of. And I don't know how many of you are aware, but we had a lady fall on the sidewalk out here Monday, I think it was Monday afternoon. She was coming in and she tripped and fell on the sidewalk, and of course, the first words out of her mouth were, "We're suing, I'm suing," so, I took pictures of her face. She had supposedly elbow and knee issues, and she was going to the hospital, and, of course, I got cussed at for half an hour. And she went out and showed me where everything happened. I took it to Derek. Derek contacted the turning window, and they are in the process of waiting to hear from her. So he's already been in contact with the city to find out who's responsible for that chunk of sidewalk that's got the different level change in it over there. So it's it must have been an old sidewalk at one time, or an entrance over on the far side, on the east side. And the sidewalk all comes down to a thing, but then over the years, it's heaved and this and moved and this and that, and she tripped and fell there. So they've got all the pictures, and they're aware of everything, so. Just so you know, there's an issue out there. We may be replacing a chunk of sidewalk if we're responsible for it, so. They're gonna fight with the city on that.
the only thing I would say is if there's one, I'd go around and make sure that we get all of them when we order a yard of concrete.
Right.
Instead of giving back 3/4 of the yard of concrete,
Yeah.
Last I ordered you, minimum is 5.
you know.
So just so you're aware that there is an issue with the chunk of sidewalk out there that'll be coming up probably down the road, I'm guessing. And that's all I have.
Any more questions? If not, Josh.
All right, coming out of the winter months, trucks are basically parked right now. The state crew has been working on tree cutting primarily down on 60, and they've been patching out on the 4 lanes, and everybody knows the 4 lanes are falling apart. We are aware of that situation. We are putting pressure on the state to maintain that in a 2026 year to be reconstructed. And Tony Kurtz is also watching that as a representative and inquired about that project just to basically make sure it stays on track. And then a couple of the guys have been going around and doing actually digital culvert inventory for the state to maintain what we actually have here in the county. So that's been a new program initiated over the past year. It's been a lot of getting an iPad, getting program, sharing it with the state, so on and so forth. The county has primarily been working down on County Highway 00, cutting trees and removing that down through there because that is planned for next year's project to complete that from River Road, for the Ridge Road all the way down to Highway 60, and then miscellaneous brush around the county. So nothing too major on the county side of it. Monthly bills. And if you can pull that up. Total for this month, $459,970. Obviously, the big giant expenditure that is on there is universal truck equipment. We are starting to get back our body built trucks from last year. We have 3 more to receive yet this year on those, so that was the big chunk of change there. And then inside FS fuel, that was the other real big one, and otherwise just basically payroll, and the rest is pretty self-explanatory with parts and so on and so forth. On monthly bills. That's what I approved.
I don't think we have to.
I'll just report. And again, I will be recreating how we present like the actual financial situation. We're building a spreadsheet, so it'll be really transparent for everybody to see like what we have going out, what we have coming in, and maintain the proper like vision of that budget.
All right. Campus bridge update.
Campus Bridge, that was bid late February, and we received 4 bids back on that. The cheapest bid came through Green Tech, a company I have never personally heard of before, neither has most of the people in the state of Wisconsin. So we did some research into them, found out that they do not have no experience working on county trunk systems or actual major bridge building experience. They do like culverts and small driveway bridges. So they were disqualified from the bids. They did come in at $473,000. The next highest bidder with a proper background check was Larson Construction. They came in at about $517,000, or I'm sorry, about $523,000. So they came in almost $30,000 cheaper than what we expected to pay for the minimum. So the contract was awarded to Larson, and they are planning on starting right away near the end of this month, if not beginning of April, on that campus bridge. And that'll be the main access point in and out. So that's the one that comes right off of 14. So during that operation, I want it to be known that yes, the other bridge is in worse shape and it has a low rating. It can be used for emergency operations. If we have a fire or something out there, emergency services can get across that bridge. And the reason why we are doing the bridge we are doing is because with that whole grant for the tennis court and the access, the main bridge off Highway 14 is the one required for access. It is actually within the map. So that one is the most necessary one to do. Plus it's your main point of egress off of that property. So we'll see how things shake out. If, like I said, they want to start as soon as possible. They're just waiting on a couple permits, but the letter proceed has been done. And then being as though this was done, initiated by myself and the administrator, a resolution will be coming forward. I'll show support and report from Public Works Committee, and we'll get a proper resolution so we can pay the bill upon completion. And that's what I have on the campus bridge update, Mr. Chair.
All right, any questions? Questions? Highway O update.
There's not much to report there other than it's finally getting ready to kick off here in May is when they plan on starting construction on that. Like before, the pre-construction meeting should be taking place here in the next month or so. So we'll have more updates then with actual Misey Construction, all the players at the table to talk about it. I will also be reaching out to the new Pine Valley administrator so she understands what she's up against this summer as far as some hard closures, but we did repave that whole driveway all the way back around for traffic to utilize. So there is a hard closure at culverts, installations at their driveway. We'll try to always leave one access point open for them to get in. If there is hard closures, they'll be short-lived, but sometimes they will have to get the culverts across the road. We will not be doing a detour for that project because there's some different ways to get around that. It's a very small stretch of highway. Most of the people that travel that route, that's local anyway, so you'll be able to find your way around.
You don't take a long way.
I don't go that way anyways.
No.
It's a long way for me.
That's what I have for, and then dirt off there, Misey's is working with the hospital, that new potential site. Whatever fill is left over from the old project, the hospital has basically stuck their claim to it and is working with Misey's on that. I stay out of the equation. That's between the contractor and the hospital as far as what they do with that fill. So, but there's a good relationship happening there.
All right. Discussion and possible action on truck chassis bids.
Okay, I provided bid results to you gentlemen, and of course, it's not in the packet, nor is it posted online because these are bid results. They cannot be released to the public to the start of the meeting. So as we go through them, I'll release the information. So with the truck chassis, and again, this is just the cab, engine, and the actual chassis of the truck. This is not the body build, which the body build would include the box, snow plows, and sander, so on and so forth. Lakeside International came in at $141,482.17. I-State Truck, $169,936.03, and Truck Country, who we haven't received a bid from for a while, came in at $161,825. Now, obviously, Lakeside International is far cheaper than everybody else. We also look at delivery dates because we have struggled hard with that in the past. Lakeside is expected 9/15 of this year. I-State Truck came in, but they're saying estimated delivery June and August. And then Truck Country comes in at 9/1 of this year. Now, each vendor has verbally told me there's a chance they will be getting these trucks in sooner than expected, but again, that's verbal, it's not on paper, it's not a written guarantee. There is also potential for tariffs taking place, so we could see some price increases or delays getting the trucks. However, Truck Country and I-State have stated that they have trucks that they are dedicated and they will free one of them up for us, given the opportunity to be awarded the bid. Now, Lakeside International, again, coming in the cheapest, they have a brand new truck model they just produced with a brand new engine. It's called the S13. It's a simplified big block engine. It's a 13-liter. They did some stuff different on the turbo where it's not a variable fin turbo, and they got rid of their EGR coolers and went to a one-box system. The downfall, however, is it's what I was told, it uses almost double the depth to meet emissions. That is a brand new truck, brand new engine to the market. I did ask the question, has anybody else been using these engines yet? The answer is no. Nobody in the state of Wisconsin, in the municipality world anyways, has bought this particular engine. It has been proven in the European market and then in some fleet trucks, but not actual plow trucks, municipal work. So that one I take with a bit of caution because we've been on the leading edge of buying new equipment before and been burned on the deal. So that is something to think about. I-State Truck and Truck Country are giving quotes on the exact same truck. It's a Model 47X Western Star, same engine, same drivetrain, called, verified with both vendors. Everything is the same. It is just that Truck Country can get a little cheaper. I have never done business with Truck Country before, and I asked the question if Highway Department personally has done business with Truck Country. The answer is not that we know of. So they are not currently a vendor in the system. We have no experience with them in the past. I-State Truck, however, we have done business with. They've been there for us when we needed them and got us trucks when nobody else could, and delivered within a day of saying they were going to deliver. Does it justify a almost $8,000 more price tag? I will leave that to you gentlemen to decide. I will give a recommendation when I'm done talking. I will say at I-State Truck Center, the original salesman that we were working with, he is out ill, physically ill, so he is not currently working. So we were handed a new salesman, so he basically matched everything that it was before. The other thing going with Western Stars over an international is that in our fleet, we are trying to get the same thing across the board, the same engines, same drivetrains to keep our inventory lower so we don't have to carry so many parts and filters and different types of oil and stuff on hand. So that is something to take into the recommendation as well. Again, for me, it comes down to consistency and then when they can actually have it delivered, because we don't like being burned on not getting our trucks. So I would recommend that I-State Truck Center, because of their past history and with us, is what they've done before. But again, you are looking at the same exact truck from I-State and Truck Country. There is no difference on the truck. I will open it up to the forum discussion.
So I-State is putting that same motor in it?
Same order.
What do you know about Truck Country?
Yeah,
Truck Country is larger than I-State. They have more of a presence nationwide and a lot more dealerships, a lot bigger fleets, so probably a lot larger accounts. That would probably be why they come in a little cheaper than I-State, because larger volume of purchase.
Yeah, we deal with them at work. We deal with them at work.
A hard time.
Just because of prior history. And again, this is good proof. I like to say it, but why we have a committee, we want to talk about these items.
The biggest problem we've had in the past is delivery, by far. You know, we were promised trucks for 3 years
Yeah.
and never got them. The new truck from Lakeside to me is not something we're interested in or should be interested in, because it's
Unproven.
It's nothing. We don't have any idea what it's gonna be.
Yep.
The last thing we need is something we gotta work on all the time. I agree with Steve. If Truck Country is giving us the exact same thing, why not have a relationship with someone that's
It's a big
$8,000 cheaper?
It's a big outfit.
Yeah.
It's a hard pill to sell, to say, we just like I-State, so we're gonna give them $8,000 more premium.
I mean, I think, you know, they've been good to us, there's no doubt about that, but $8,000, to me.
Is the 1 to 2 months gonna kill you the difference? in
No,
delivery?
because even if we have to wait that 1 to 2 months extra, the body builds, Monroe or Universal, which is the only two we ever get to actually bid a build, it's gonna be sometime next year before we ever see these trucks again.
Exactly.
So
There you go.
Well, what do we want to do, fellas?
I'll move to accept truck country as a little bit.
I'll second. Truck country.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alright, motion carries. Truck country has a bid at $161,825. All right, Seal Coat.
Seal coat bids, Partner Asphalt and Flint Hills. They are the same, they are a partner company. Partner does the actual, application of the oil. Flint Hills provides the oil, so they're just two companies that work together. They come in at $2.61 a gallon, and then Miggs, came in at $2.97 a gallon. So my recommendation there, we have worked with both parties and both of them do just fine. We have no issues, never have with them. My recommendation is Farner Asphalt and then Flint Hills for a grand total of $117,450 versus Miggs at $133,650 for the 45,000 gallons that we are buying for this year.
Sense to me, I'll make a motion.
Chad with the motion,
Second.
second, Steve Carroll. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
that was for, Farner Asphalt.
Farner Asphalt, sorry about that. All right, we're looking at culverts now.
For me, it's pretty simple, recommended metal culverts. The bids that we received in for culverts were from True North Steel and Contact Engineering. Metal culverts came in at right about $1 cheaper per foot on almost every single culvert. Their prices are actually down from last year. I see no reason to go to a different company. They've been our main suppliers. I can provide you their actual layout of information. There's quite a few lines here. So my recommendation is metal culverts at almost $1 cheaper per foot.
Motion, I need a motion to recommend metal culverts for culvert purchases this year.
So move.
Steve and Chad, yes, discussion.
Roughly, how much in total cost in culverts you typically go through a year?
It really depends on the year. Like this year, we're changing things up. We used to order close to $100,000 worth of culverts in spring to have enough on hand for summer use. Again, we're trying to cut some costs back. I don't see the point in having a bunch of inventory laying around on the ground, so we're just gonna buy as we need. If somebody needs a culvert, we'll just order it. You know, the market is coming back where we get them pretty fast. There's no reason to spend a bunch of money.
So this is just an agreed unit price with them and you'll order as you need?
Correct.
Locked in for 1 year.
Locked in for 1 year.
Okay.
They've got a yard in Portage and one in Evansville. Like, well,
Everything we usually get comes from Evansville.
Okay.
And townships coming by culverts from you.
Usually about every single day.
Yeah, that's probably the main transfer, I would say, more so than even our own
Yeah.
usage. All right, so all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right. Future agenda items,
Mr. Chair, if I may.
yes,
We talked about consolidation of maintenance or doing a different type of maintenance program countywide. We are gonna be working on that to produce with a potential 2026 budget, but with a new administrator possibly coming on. I would like to work with that administrator to make sure that they are included in this so we can get everything right the first time. So we will be working on that.
so is that something that needs to go on the agenda?
No, we had it on the agenda before as a future thing. I just wanted to let everybody know where we're at with that.
Yeah, so the only thing I have for future agenda item, and this comes down to the 3 vehicles that Josh drives and Lonnie drives, and I can't remember the county.
Brandon Adams, Lonnie Hatch, Derek Brown, and myself.
Okay, so there's been questions in the county on the personal use of these vehicles. So I think we need to review where we're at with that. And it's not for this meeting, it'll be for the next meeting, because I think there's some more, we need to find out where we're at and what we're doing and what we're gonna do.
From everything I looked through, there is not a really existing policy on that, and I have taken it forward that a policy needs to be done.
Agreed. I would say, just in good practice, I understand, we talked about this when we originally started taking those vehicles home. That vehicle was, the reason why we were doing it is so that there was, if something was to happen, it doesn't make a lot of sense for someone to drive all the way through the county, to drive all the way back through the county. and it was in the lead positions, right? So I'll take Lonnie, for example. Lonnie's down by me and Steve, and if
He's on call.
and he's on call, because he's a state highway. If he needs to go, and it's Highway 60, it didn't make a lot of sense for him to drive all the way back town to get a truck, you know. That was the sole purpose of that, right? And I think we just need to make sure that we define, okay, what are we doing, and what's acceptable and what's not
Written
acceptable.
policy.
Exactly.
Written policy, I highly agree with, and I would also like to make the statement, at no point in time are these trucks used for any type of extreme personal use when it comes to hooking up to a trailer or a boat or anything of that nature. They're used to drive back and forth to work and to respond to call, and when we're on call out, drive the roads in the middle of the night. The only thing we have ever set into place is as long as we were going to and from work and we needed to stop at a gas station or grocery store on the way home, pick kids with us being dads, we allowed that to happen. We checked with the insurance company, but again, we are not using them for any type of personal use. We do not jump in the trucks and go down to Madison on a Sunday afternoon or the hardware store. And I guess I'd like to say this as well. If there is a person selling something privately, that is their own private business. I do not need to give a reason for what I'm up to in my personal life when it comes to something like that. So.
Stay off of social media.
All right, so let's get that so we can get this going forward.
Another.
Go ahead.
I guess Fair and Parks does report to this committee, and I just wondered if there's any meetings happening, and if as they do happen, if we could then just get a brief summary to this committee.
There has not been a meeting called because there has not been any new information. When it got transferred into underneath the MEDA kind of supervised, we are in a maintenance role and really a maintenance role only. Yes, we're going to try to make some updates, and when I have some updates that are happening, I will notify everybody or call an actual parks meeting. But I don't see the point in holding meetings to talk about nothing, because there's really nothing happening.
Main thing is as spring gets here, of course, that's gonna get much busier with the maintenance, so that we're prepared for the summers. All right, well, any correspondence, not that I'm aware of? Need a motion to adjourn?
Wait for Gary.
We wait.
I move to adjourn.
Steve, motion, I'll second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries, thanks, everyone.
5 minutes for me, 22 for you. That's the longest meeting we've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Did
You could have got it all, too.
It was a little, I could have found more stuff. I didn't.
This long.